Alright guys, for many of us, Empire Total War was the first time the series went global, spanning Europe, India, and the Americas in a single campaign, while also delivering the best naval battles the franchise had ever seen. But let's be honest, Empire hasn't really aged that well. Between dated AI, clunky sieges, and very limited modding options, it's a game that deserves a proper overhaul. And now, with the recent release of the New World expansion on the mobile version of the game, the case for a remaster has never been stronger. If Feral Interactive can update the game on mobile, it's time for Creative Assembly to remaster it on PC. And in this video, I'm going to dive into why and how this needs to happen. So starting with a New World, it's clear that there is still plenty of life left in Empire Total War. The update is surprisingly ambitious for a game this old, and it brings with it a scope that feels like what a remaster could and should offer. It unlocks 44 new playable factions, bringing the grand total to 55, and suddenly almost every major and minor nation on the map is a legitimate option. Instead of being doomed to fail in the first 20 turns, factions like the Barbary States, Grand Colombia, and the Mughal Empire now stand a fighting chance. Even the United States is finally integrated into the Grand Campaign as a playable faction from the very beginning, giving players new ways to experience the 18th century struggle for dominance. And it doesn't just stop there. A New World also expands the naval game with over 14 new ships, including dhows, light galleys, much heavier ships as well. On land, the balance has been reworked so that smaller nations can survive for a lot longer, in some cases thrive and dominate, and suddenly those nations that once existed only to be gobbled up by the bigger empires are now real contenders. And there's also a new late start campaign which begins in 1783 in the middle of the Age of Revolution, where Great Britain and France are wealthy, advanced, and fighting to hang on to sprawling overseas empires. It's a setting that brings new urgency to the late game and highlights a part of the century that the base game largely glossed over. And that is a huge content drop, guys. It demonstrates exactly how much untapped potential Empire still has and how much more compelling its campaigns can be when expanded and rebalanced. And yet, this is frustratingly only available on the mobile version of the game. That decision alone turns what could have been a renaissance for Empire into a strange side project. For the very community that made the game popular, the audience that kept it alive on PC through mods and nostalgia, the expansion is completely out of reach. And that's the real missed opportunity here, because Empire on PC is the very version crying out for an update the most. This is where the problems with AI, sieges, the campaign balance, are still holding the game back from greatness. The foundation is there, the ambition is already proven, and a New World shows how a few big changes can completely refresh the experience. But to leave that locked on mobile while PC players are stuck with the same flawed 2009 version of the game is baffling. As groundbreaking in many aspects as Empire Total War was when it first released, the truth is that it hasn't really aged that well. Its ambition was enormous, but the systems that supported it were fragile. Even today, the game feels like it's constantly fighting its own design, and no matter how much affection players have for its setting, the cracks are impossible to ignore. If there's any Total War title that could benefit from an overhaul, a modern, remastering version of the game, it's definitely Empire. Now, the most glaring problem, of course, is the AI, both on the battlefield especially, but on the campaign map as well. On the strategy layer, it struggles to manage an economy, often leaving once great nations like Spain or the Ottomans to collapse within a few decades. Naval invasions are rare and almost never coordinated, leaving vast colonial holdings untouched. Diplomacy barely functions, with alliances breaking down for no reason, and enemies declaring war with no ability to actually follow through. And on the battlefield, things are even worse. The AI has never understood how to use line infantry properly, charging units haphazardly, or simply standing still under withering gunfire. Then there are, of course, the infamous siege and fort battles, which might be some of the clunkiest in the entire franchise. The moment forts and walls come into play, pathfinding completely collapses. Units stack up on ladders, cannons fire at strange angles, and firefights devolve into chaotic blobs where line tactics just don't matter. The entire siege system in Empire, and to be fair, Napoleon as well, feels like it was never truly finished, and it robs a significant part of the campaign of any sense of fun or historical weight. For a game meant to showcase 18th century warfare, the experience of storming or defending a fort is often more frustrating than exciting. Faction balance also desperately needs attention. France, for example, dominates the campaign far too often, steamrolling Europe and overwhelming every rival. Meanwhile, nations that should be competitive, like Spain or the Ottomans, are consistently weak, collapsing under AI mismanagement. Even within a single nation, the campaign feels a little flat. Splitting France, for example, into multiple regions would easily add a sense of dynamism that the campaign in Europe currently lacks. The same goes for reworking other major powers and regions on the campaign as well, simply so they don't vanish in the early game. An official Creative Assembly modernizing remaster would be the perfect opportunity to address these problems. It wouldn't just be about better graphics or sharper UI, it would be about modernizing the systems that underpin the game. Smarter AI, functional siege mechanics, and a more balanced campaign would transform Empire from a beloved but broken classic into a genuinely modern strategy experience. Now, lastly, one of the biggest reasons why I think older Total War titles like Rome or Medieval 2 still thrive today with many thousands of players is because of their modding scenes. Mods like Europa Barbarorum, Third Age, or Stainless Steel didn't just keep those games alive, they elevated them into entirely new experiences. They pushed the boundaries of what was possible, and for many players, they became the definitive way to play those games. Empire Total War, by contrast, has always lagged behind, and it's not because of a lack of interest. It's because the game was never given the same level of modding support. The most frustrating limitation is the campaign map, where modders have been able to tweak, unit stats, visuals, but the grand strategy layer itself has always remained largely untouchable. You simply can't meaningfully change the geography, add new regions, or overhaul how colonies and trade systems work. And that's a huge blow when you consider that Empire's map spans 3 continents and relies so heavily on global logistics. It means we never got the kind of full conversion projects that could have, for example, extended the timeline into the 19th century, or reimagine the colonial struggle from entirely different perspectives. What Empire does have in terms of mods is impressive. Overhauls like Darth Mod show just how much better AI and campaign pacing can be when fans put in the work, but mods just like this are generally limited by the restrictions Creative Assembly built into the game. Compared to the freedom modders have had with the other games in the series, Empire feels like a locked box with only a few tools available. A remaster of the game could and should change that. By opening up the campaign map and giving modders modern tools, CA could unleash an entirely new wave, a new generation of creativity that would extend the game's lifespan for years, maybe even decades. Overall, the truth is really simple. People essentially want Empire 2 Total War. I want Empire 2. But before we even get there, a remaster of the original Empire would be a minimal effort, massive win on the part of CA. It would give them a chance to finally fix the rough edges that would have held the game back for over a decade, while also bringing updates like a new world to the audience that built the game on PC. A remaster would show that the 18th century still has a big place in Total War. The setting is unique, the naval battles remain unmatched, and the global scale of the campaign is something no other title in the series has attempted since. Refreshing it for modern players would remind people of why Empire was so exciting in the first place, and it would also give Creative Assembly the clearest sign possible of how much demand there is for a full sequel. If CA wants to build towards Empire 2, this is where they should start. A remaster would repair the foundations, open the door for new modding possibilities, and prove that this era of warfare is worth revisiting. Either way, I hope you join me in the comments below to let CA know that Empire deserves at least the New World update for Empire on mobile to come to PC, or better yet, we have to get a remaster for the game. It desperately needs it. I hope you enjoyed what I've been talking about today. I hope you enjoyed the video detailing why I think this is so important, and as always, subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.